What is going on, world? Kevin out here with your Manly Musings podcast. Yes, the intro is like that today because I'm running the podcast. We gave Merritt 2 weeks off. He's doing his thing. But as you can see, we have Leland here. We have Joe Mac here. So you know what that means? Today's talk is wrestling talk. So we got a little bit of a sports update, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of wrestling. Joe, what's your, I guess, team apparel today? I think I
Ooh,
see from the
one of the
visits.
one of the greatest teams of all time. Obviously, it's the New World Order of
Yes,
professional wrestling, brother.
of course. I mean, honestly, if you're a wrestling fan and don't have a New World Order short shirt, that's just that's a staple in every collection. But my shirt that I brought out today, so this is a very sentimental piece for me. This is kind of I'm a sneaker guy and people have their grails. This is a wrestling tee grail for me. So this right here, guys, is the heart and soul, the shirt of the 1997 SummerSlam. The main event was with Bret Hart and Undertaker, with Shawn Michaels as the guest referee. Fun fact why this is a grail for me: this is the first ever wrestling event I ever attended in my life at the Continental Airlines Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. I remember that is the infamous event where Stone Cold broke his neck from Owen Hart from a tombstone pile driver. You had uh I think like Triple H versus Mankind in the steel cage, where the steel cage was still blue. And yeah, this was the start of pretty much like the genesis of like the Generation X, the genesis of Shawn Michaels versus Taker in the Hell in a Cell, and then of course the infamous Montreal Screwjob that happened later that year. So I got this WrestleMania weekend at the store called Suplex SVW, Suplex Vintage Wrestling over in Philly. Me and Joss and my friend Jarrett, we waited in line for like 2-3 hours to get into this store because they had a pop-up wrestling event that same day. It was WrestleMania Saturday. So they had what's his name from AEW, Nick Wayne was the main event there, and then Joey Janela was there facing off against some guy from GCW. I'm drawing a blank on his name. But yeah, it was a really good time, and they had West Side Gun there making an appearance, who's a big wrestling fan, so a rapper, and so took forever to get into the store, but I literally remember walking in the store. I take a left into the door. I span around, and this thing was literally standing right in front of me. The price was steep for its resale value because it was brand new with its original tags, but it was fully worth it. So,
Totally worth it.
yes, Leland, shout out to you. I don't know, you don't have any
I
wrestling?
don't have any wrestling
Okay,
gear one.
it's
Yeah,
all
I
good.
dropped the ball on that one.
No worries. But so, little quick sports update, your weekly sports update, some things going on. So, I had some things from last week that we're going to talk about. So, first off, shout out to those NFL training camp fights last week. You had, I believe, if I got this right, the Giants and the Panthers getting at it twice, so the NFL fined them. I mean, what do you expect when you put two teams that are at the urge of they're trying to get back at it, they're getting ready for their seasons? Of course, I would expect some fights to happen.
Of course.
Your thoughts on these training camp fights? Because apparently they've been happening like everywhere lately.
Not only team versus team, but it's happening like in team fighting too. We're seeing a lot. I think DK Metcalf got into it with some of the D-backs on the Seahawks. Something was going on with Marvin Harrison in Arizona where they were calling it hazing, but they can't use the word hazing anymore and making him do stuff or whatever. Who knows? It's just, can we just get to that first Thursday in September when we're watching
Yeah.
I know.
professional football, real professional football that counts, please?
Yeah.
Just get us
Agreed.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for the season to start. But I mean, preseason kills me. I want to watch the games. The games are so boring though. I'm ready for the regular season to start.
Yeah, it's I get it. I mean, they cut it down to 3 preseason games. They added that one at the end of the year. It's just we're by the time like that third preseason game hits, we're just like, all right, enough of this. Let's get to who's making these teams. and let's get to play in some football.
Yeah.
It's I know they want to do the preseason just to get everybody warmed up, make sure they're all squared away, but at the same time, I almost feel like the preseason just kind of just lags on like
It does.
forever.
It's too long. It's too long. I think they need to continue more practices and more kind of live action in practice. But the preseason week 1, we saw maybe some of those first round draft picks play a drive or two. Caleb Williams looked very impressive, but he played maybe 12 or 14 snaps. The rest of the game was people I've never heard of. Now, credit is given where credit is due. These guys are professional football players, and I am not a professional football player. But with that being said, 3 weeks of preseason games is still too long. I say cut it down to 2, add an extra week or 2 of training camp, and call it a day.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I completely agree. Have them fight it out in their own teams. Let them get through it. They get a chance to play in those 2 games. They do well, cool. They can't. Hey, that's on them. But yes, continuing on. So as we're speaking about NFL preseason, we just found out this week that Minnesota's newest quarterback, JJ McCarthy, already out for the season. I believe it's an MCL tear. They said that it happened in practice, but talk about a blow to come to the Minnesota Vikings, and we didn't even start the season yet. So, shout out to JJ McCarthy. Hopefully he gets well soon. But damn, that's such a huge that hurts for the Vikings.
I think the Vikings are just cursed at this point when it comes to
Yeah.
quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins was the best thing they've had since sliced bread.
Mhm.
You know, going back to even Dante Culpepper with the injury issues he's sustained. But like, I got to give credit to Kevin O'Connell and that coaching staff because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Josh Dobbs won 3 straight or 4 straight games for them last year.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
like the team, obviously when you have someone like a Justin Jefferson on the team, definitely makes a difference. But being able to plug and play a quarterback, and it looks like what they're going to have to do this year is Sam Darnold is going to be QB1 for the Minnesota Vikings. And, Sam Darnold, I thought Sam Darnold was out of the league 3 years ago, and he's going to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League this year. So, Kevin O'Connell must see something in him, something that they're going to be able to proceed without having to make any drastic trades or drastic pickups, moves like Cam Newton, I heard, was being rumored, but it's not going to happen, Cam. I'm sorry. Okay. Sam Darnold's going to be the guy in 2024 in Minnesota. And do they have enough talent around him to succeed? Possibly. But I was excited to see what JJ McCarthy has. Great quarterback, great career at Michigan. And it's just a shame he tears the ligament this soon on in his career.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's going to go one of 2 ways. Either Darnold's going to be serviceable and they'll be okay, or it's just going to be a complete lost season for them. And then they get a high draft pick, so may not be the worst thing in the world.
That is true. It's funny because, like, in a situation like this, I look at one of 2 ways. He's either going to step up, do well, or he can make a name for himself and cash in to get himself a big contract. I look at someone like our own Geno Smith, who had been bouncing around as a backup for so many years. He got the opportunity when Russell Wilson went down, and then now he's the starting quarterback for the Seahawks,
right?
And got himself a new contract
got paid.
Yeah. So if I'm Sam Darnold, I take this and be like, all right, well, this is possibly my last chance to be a true starter in this league. If I can't do it now, it might be the end for me. So we shall see. I mean, I've watched Sam Darnold when he was here in New York. He had some promise for like 2-3 weeks, and then reality hit because the Jets do Jet things, and now has that chance to be, to have the chance again. Like I just same with Geno. So fingers crossed that Minnesota can do their thing, especially with players like JJ on the team. You can't beat that. All right, guys. So some things, we went through the Olympics, and if you guys want to go through the Olympics again, we have our podcast from a couple weeks back. But shout out to the US. We finished with 40 gold medals, 65% were won by women. And they announced some of the new sports that are coming in 28. You have flag football, and then they also announced that we'll no longer have breakdancing in 2028 for LA, that it is a one and done. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Super sad that breakdancing didn't work. Shout out to Raygun for doing it up, but I heard she's been going through it. She like had a whole statement on her Instagram that she's been feeling the hate, and then but this is what my thoughts. With all due respect, yes, but at the same, yes, it's horrible that she's getting some hate. Her family shouldn't be taking it. She really should be taking it on her own. But at the same time, you're considered. I look at it as you're considered. You are now a figure in you're a figure in the public.
Right.
You just got to deal with. You're either gonna just learn to deal with the hate and move on, or you know, just don't do it at all. But guys, last thoughts on the Olympics for 2024.
Thought they were great. I mean, honestly, this is the most of the Olympics I've watched in years, and I it was entertaining. Every event that I watched was entertaining, even breakdancing and watching Raygun do her thing and watching the guys. I mean, it was all entertaining, and I'm looking forward to the Winter Olympics, but also looking forward to summer too, especially like you said, flag football. I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I don't want this to come off like I sound like a hater, Kev, but breakdancing should not be in the Olympics, my friend. Okay.
I mean, I know.
In comparison to some other things that aren't Olympic sports, like one of the oldest sports in the history of this country, baseball, hasn't not an Olympic sport until 2028. Softball,
I'm excited to see those come back for sure.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited for those. But when someone like Raygun signs up to be a breakdancer for a country like Australia that doesn't really have any real tradition or history in breakdancing, the writing's on the wall to Raygun's looking to become a meme more than Raygun's looking to win a gold medal. And she's getting her 15 minutes of fame, whether she likes it or not. But, it's tough. I wish her well on all future endeavors. I'll put it that way.
I'm not going to lie. So when I first heard about breakdancing being in the Olympics, I also thought, is Paris the place to introduce that?
Right.
Like, I would have thought breakdancing would have been incredible for LA. The US, it has that. West Coast traditions of breakdancing would have been great. I just didn't feel that maybe possibly Paris was the place for it, because I think when I watched it, that you didn't really have the type of reactions for it that you maybe would have had at other places. But again, to each their own. It was fun to watch. It was great. Hey, they gave it the old college try, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. But
the last thing I have on Olympics, real quick, Kev, before you go to the next topic,
of course,
we can all agree that the two MVPs of the 2024 Summer Olympics were Snoop Dogg and Flava Flav, correct?
Oh,
absolutely.
Incredible.
Just absolutely 100%. Such entertainment from the lens of someone who doesn't know everything about every sport. Contrary to popular belief, I don't know everything about water polo, but hearing the story behind how Flava Flav was sponsoring the team and was earning sponsorship money for the team and paying for hotels and clothing, and then Snoop Dogg literally just being at every sporting event for those 3 weeks. Absolute entertainment value through the roof, and I can't wait to see what the potential of those two are in LA.
Yeah. I mean, Snoop is like he's practically an American treasure at this point, like the number one mascot for the United States of America. he crushed it doing all this coverage for NBC. He needs to be back in 2028 for LA, and we just need to follow him everywhere and have him just cover whatever sport that people may not be watching. Just put Snoop on commentary, just like how they had him for badminton and for equestrian. I will take all of it. Alrighty, so guys, now we're gonna go to our WV sports updates. I have a couple things. So 16 days to a football home opener against Penn State at home on the big noon matchup against Penn State. Super excited for that. Leland, are you gonna be there?
Absolutely. I mean, this is year 21 of not missing a home game. I'll be there.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
Love that so much. This summer there hasn't been anything crazy. They've just been going through training camp right now. We've been hearing a lot of great stuff from some of the freshmen that are coming in. We also have our men's basketball team was in Italy, beating up on teams in Italy, which was great. I'm excited to see what their team is looking like. But the main thing, well, I have one more. Hold on. Our WE Sports Hall of Fame got announced. So a couple of names that people might know out there. Anthony Becht from football. He played for the Jets locally here at around the early 2000s. Rasheed Marshall. I'm sure you know who he is. Leland, star quarterback in the early 2000s as well. I believe correct me if I'm wrong, he was the quarterback pre-Pat White era.
He was. Yep.
Right before. And of course, somebody that, I got to know during my time there, Liz Rapella, women's basketball, one of the best players there when we had, I think about that 2010 run when they went to the Big East Championship, same as the men, and they pretty much rocked out the Big East. But I would be remiss if we did not mention the retirement of possibly the one player who has the greatest highlight tape of an all college football. Tavon Austin retired this week in the NFL after 9 seasons of NFL. Played for the Rams. I believe he took some stints with the Cowboys, the Bills, the Packers, the Niners, and the Jaguars. I mean, I've loved Tavon Austin. I mean, that's the time that I was at school with him. Part of that golden era of WVU, with our football team, with him and Geno Smith and Stedman. Leland, since you are a WV guy like myself, can you name probably your favorite Tavon Austin highlights?
The entire Oklahoma game in 2012. I mean, putting him in and running back when nobody expected it, and him going off for over 300 yards rushing, almost 600 or almost 700 yards total offense by himself. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. And I will never forget that game, even though they lost. I'll still never forget it.
Yeah. Joe, I know you're not a W guy, but you have a favorite Tavon highlight that you can think of?
It honestly, it's so hard to choose just one. As you know, Kevin, anytime I come across the only one highlight film on YouTube, or if it comes through on Instagram, you and Merritt are the first people I'm just immediately sending it to. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing that I could equate it to in the online YouTube viral sports highlight thing is like Vince Carter's Olympic dunk, where it just, when that happened, the world stopped. And then just the entirety of like the And One mixtape tour, watching that, whether on YouTube or like ESPN. Tavon Austin is the And One mixtape tour of college football. And it was an absolute pleasure. I'm a little bit older than you guys, so I'm a big Steve Slayton, Pat White, that type of West Virginia, that time. But god damn, Tavon Austin, man, what a highlight, what a career at WV. And I'll give him the kudos at the NFL level too, to play as long as he did, and be explosive as he was. Big shout out. I'm going to be watching Only One about 3 or 4 times tonight before I go to bed.
Something about that highlight tape. Shout out to that guy that made it, like, went viral. I think he even had like worked for, after he made those highlight tapes, I think he had a job with West Virginia's like athletic department for a bit too.
Yeah. Yeah, he did get hired for a while.
Yeah, incredible. So shout out to them. Shout out to Tavon Austin, forever the only one out here for WV football. All right, guys. So now is the time that we've been waiting for. This is why Merritt doesn't come on these podcasts for these ones. It's time to talk about some pro wrestling. So right now, I also reason why I wore this shirt, SummerSlam. SummerSlam has just passed. You know, I think some takeaways that I have here. I thought overall the show was a great ending to a lot of great storylines. We talk about the end of the Judgment Day. You had Dom turn on Rhea Ripley to help Liv Morgan win. You have Finn Balor that pretty much essentially turned on Damian Priest, put in the rope, the foot of Gunther on the rope. You look at all the new champions that we had. We had Braun Breaker beat Sammy for the IC title. Nia Jax getting the title back from Bailey. We have mentioned Gunther. And of course, the one tribal chief, the OTC, has finally returned. I'm not going to lie. It took me a long time to figure out what the hell those initials meant until Michael Cole kind of brought up during commentary. Oh, yeah, by the way, guys, if you're wondering what those initials mean, I'm pretty sure he's referencing that he is the original tribal chief. I wish I would have known that sooner. But, guys, your thoughts on SummerSlam?
So my shirt's already been ordered. It's back ordered. I'll hopefully get it within the next week or two.
I love it.
I thought the peak of my adult wrestling fandom was WrestleMania 39, the prime bloodline, Sammy and KO versus the Usos, main event night 1, Cody Roman main event night 2. I just, this thing is the hottest it's been since the NWO, since the Attitude Era. It is the most entertainment I've ever absorbed from professional wrestling has happened in the last calendar year. And I am head over heels in love with what's going on right now in WWE. Some other companies, some other products, maybe not so much. Maybe we have some time towards the end to talk about that. But everything, even like the Drew CM Punk storyline,
Yes.
it is just the bloodlust that these men have for each other right now.
Oh, my God, I know.
And then throwing Seth in as the referee, a la your shirt.
97. Yup.
Like, Triple H knows what he's doing. You could tell he's flexing his muscles when it comes to his writing ability and his booking right now. And I'm having a fun time, fellas. Wrestling is we love wrestling. Wrestling is great. Okay.
Agreed. Leon, what about you?
Yeah, no, I mean I agree with everything Joe said. It's exciting, it's entertaining. And the thing I like about it the most, and this is all sports, but the way it takes over social media when something happens. Like last Friday night, I didn't get to watch SmackDown, but I saw Roman come back and saw a perfect video of it. And just the way that WWE's handling everything right now, there's not a bad storyline in the show. I mean, everything is way more cohesive than it used to be. It's not storylines get started and get dropped off. It's fun. Like Joe said, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great. And one of the things I wanted to point out, so in the presser, Triple H mentioned that this is probably one of the last Summer Slams that it's going to be just one night. Right. So there's the talk of the SummerSlam going to 2 nights. And I was listening to one of the podcasts, shout out to Cheap Heat podcast, one of my favorites. And they talked about, SummerSlam going to 2 nights. Now, WrestleMania is 2 nights. SummerSlam going to 2 nights. When you kind of look at SummerSlam, it has that WrestleMania feel. But, obviously WrestleMania is WrestleMania. So then do you think that there's going to be a differentiation between the two. I thought it would be a great conversation talk because I think it's because now if you're going to kind of go that stadium route for SummerSlam, now how are you going to separate? Because we've always looked at as WrestleMania as the grand all and grand all show
Right.
of spectacle. Now they're starting to show SummerSlam being very similar. So now, do you think is there going to be a way for them to differentiate which one is the more spectacle of the two? I wanted to get your thoughts.
I think so. I think WrestleMania is always going to be the bigger show. It has the name recognition to be the biggest show of the year. But I think that they can do some interesting things with SummerSlam. I, to be honest, I don't love SummerSlam going to two nights. I don't even like WrestleMania being two nights. I liked it more when it was one night. The one show that I think does make sense for two nights is the Rumble, because then you can have the Rumble as the main event for both nights. But
Mm.
they'll make it work. I'm not worried about that. And it'll give more people opportunities to be on the card, which is always a great thing. But that I personally, I wish that it would just go back to one night.
Yeah, I hear that sentiment, Leland, but I'm all for it. You know, more wrestling means more people on the card, but then you're looking at, you know, Friday SmackDown in an arena in the same city. Then you have Saturday afternoon. They've been running an NXT pay-per-view, you know, for these big weekends. Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night Raw as like the wrap up of the weekend. I'm all for it when this spectacle comes to town and takes the city over. Like, I'm really doing my research right now to see what it's going to cost me to get out to Vegas for Mania next year,
Yeah.
because that's going to be a spectacle unto itself. Yeah, LA was nice, 39. Philly, I wouldn't have done Philly. I wouldn't have never went to Philly. I know, Kevin, you were in the city that weekend,
I
but
was.
you couldn't pay me to go to Mania in the rain and cold like that. I did it at MetLife Stadium a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, you do a 2-night SummerSlam somewhere really nice and warm, and you could do your WrestleMania is the granddaddy of them all. We call it. You know, it's the night of nights. There's going to be differentiation between the two. I think they're both very important, but Mania is your season premiere or season finale, depending on how you look at it. And SummerSlam could be like your mid-season finale.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the more the merrier in my eyes.
I dig it. And I look at it from the aspect of, so when WrestleMania comes, so when I went to WrestleMania in Philly, all the wrestling came together in that city. So you think about all the things that you could do when when WWE kind of pumps it out. It helps everybody. Think about, so apparently this year they had a summer WrestleCon. Then you bring out all those people there. They can go make some money in the business and they get to meet some wrestlers. Then you think about your independent promotions around in the area. Those people will be able to go ahead and like push, like, hey, it's SummerSlam weekend. Before you go to SummerSlam, come check out our show here. Check out our show there. Check out our show there. Joe, if you're talking Vegas, well, we could definitely chat because I think I'm gonna try and make Vegas work myself because doing WrestleMania weekend, I fully regret not doing both nights, but now I know that I have to do both nights now because it's going to be worth it.
And the rumor is, again, keep this with a grain of salt because we're months away, but
Yeah.
the rumor is they're gonna run Raw from inside the Sphere.
Oh,
Yeah,
They're
I've seen
doing a
that rumor.
they're doing a UFC in there in the next few months, and
oh
it's
my,
kind of like the litmus test to see what it's gonna look like.
oh my God.
Obviously, they're not gonna be able to fit, you know, 25, 30,000 people like some of these, you know, NBA style arenas are. But
Mhm.
imagine what that looks like with a Roman Reigns head of the table pyro and light show on a, you know, biggest IMAX screen in the history of the planet Earth type screen.
Oh,
That'd
that
be
would
wild.
be absolutely the most wildest thing. Just think about Cody's entrance when he comes out on the sphere, that would be just wild.
Oh yeah.
But speaking of SummerSlam, we mentioned it earlier as well. My shirt, Drew and Punk, I thought they played that very, very well. I know they're gonna do the slow build to get to Seth versus Punk at some point. But let me ask you guys, do we think that they're doing a lot of emphasis on this bracelet?
You got to
Yeah,
have something. I'm not.
yeah,
I'm not. I'm not mad at it. Who would have
no,
thought that? You know, we all expected when Punk came back at Survivor Series, we were going to see Punk Rollins at WrestleMania,
Oh yeah.
and obviously the injury derailed that. That was what the card was. That was main event night one was Punk Rollins.
Yeah.
What was penciled in? The injury derailed that, and you know whether it was Triple H / Paul Levesque backed or it was organic. Drew McIntyre took to social media and it was an F5 tornado that happened. And the build between these two has been probably my favorite feud over the last 6 to 8 months. And what's the best part of it is like Punk hasn't wrestled. He wrestled one match.
Yeah.
This pay-per-view match at SummerSlam was his first televised singles match in WWE in close to a decade. But
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like he's been missing since Survivor Series because he's been around. He's been on the mic. He's been calling play by play. He's been sending videos in and doing stuff on social media. And like, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how much you followed Punk at AEW,
Mm-hmm.
but he was collecting a check at AEW.
Yes.
He's emotionally invested with WWE again. You can tell there's a difference. He's in
Oh yeah.
tip-top shape. He wants to be there. He's down in Orlando training with NXT people on a weekly basis. Like this guy it's Punk of old, but it's 2024. I'm very excited.
yeah. I mean, after everything that happened with Hangman, that started kind of the downfall of Punk and AEW. He was phoning it in, and it sucks because you guys know I'm a big AEW guy. I love AEW, but it Punk has, and I don't want to say single-handedly, but that's taken over everything. It really has. AEW has went downhill since everything happened there. But yeah, the feud's been great, and he's been great as the troll that has just been a thorn in Drew's side for months, and it was a great build-up. It was great work with him being injured for him to be able to do all of that and continue the feud. It just brought even more heat to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see how far this goes. I think there's talk that the culmination is supposed to be a Hell in a Cell at bad blood between the two, which be great because you know I with the way things are going, I see blood happening. I the fact that we even have a pay per view back to having named Bad Blood says itself. But yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of Punk, and to see him, like, it seems like he's been reinvigorated all
Yeah.
over again. It's like he's excited. He feels when you see him out there, he's excited to be there and fully in it, which is
Yeah.
great because a fully invested Punk is better for everybody's parties. And even when it comes to like, you can tell those promos, and then when they're talking between him and Drew and Punk, like they all really freaking hate each other, but they're doing it in such a way that it's like the fans know like they hate each other, but they're doing it in the way that it's gonna make sense.
And I
Which
and I think they're when Drew came back following his being released way back when, like after 3MB, and he went and did his Drew Galloway run. I think he was in TNA. He hit some of the other independents and stuff.
yep,
He's been back for I would say like 5 or 6 years at this point. Started down at NXT. I think it was him and Finn were feuding, or
yeah,
maybe it was him and like Adam Cole. I
Yeah,
don't
it was
remember
Adam Cole
exactly.
for a
Adam
while.
Cole, yeah. I mean, this is some of the first off, he's a walking specimen, okay? Like this kid is chiseled from stone, but he's just like he, the, I can't speak. I don't know him or Punk personally. If I had to guess, I don't think they really hate each other, but they're making it to the point where you have to believe it.
Yeah.
And the bracelet, the talking about the dog, the just talking about the wife and Drew's inability to stay focused when he got gypped of the title at WrestleMania and when he cashed in and lost it because of Punk. Like, it's emotionally satisfying as a grown man who loves professional wrestling. I'll put it that way.
Love it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing you can say about it is it's believable. It doesn't take much to believe that these guys actually don't like each other.
Yep. And it's just been proven in the past. The more believable, the better everything is on that end.
Yep.
So, I have some other wrestling topics. One of the things that when you talk about, we have Triple H over controlling Raw, SmackDown, his best friend, my favorite wrestler of all time, even though I'm wearing Bret Hart, his arch nemesis right now, forgive me. But Shawn Michaels in NXT, the job that he's doing with them right now and the partnership that they have with TNA is incredible. I have to bring this up. Guys, do we believe in Joe Hendry?
You have to.
You
I mean, you
Am I
really do.
right?
He's taking over. I saw a TikTok of Jamal Williams singing his theme song a couple days ago. Like he's taking over everywhere.
Yeah, it's as viral as any professional wrestler on planet Earth is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, on yesterday's recording of the Bow Down podcast, I had TNA play-by-play and color commentator Tom Hannafin on because he has a Penn State podcast, State of State, alongside former NFL cornerback Justin King. So shout out State of State. And as Washington is the new team in the Big Ten, we're trying to collaborate with some of our partners on the Believe Network who host shows of our other conference rivals to get to know each other.
Nice.
So I had a
That's
nice
awesome.
25-minute conversation with my friend Tom Hannafin last night.
Wow.
Talking about all things Penn State, talking about all things Washington Huskies, and talking about all things Joe Hendry. And from Tom Hannafin himself, he said, and I quote, "How can you not believe in Joe Hendry? He's the best thing since sliced bread."
Incredible. I can't. Is that episode out now?
Nope. Next week.
All right, cool. So plug,
It's
guys.
a manly musings exclusive right now.
Love it. So guys, make sure we got to tune into that, the Bow Down podcast with Joe and Tom Hannafin from the State of State. I will definitely make sure I tune into that one. But yeah, I'm loving what NXT is doing from their women's division. That's looking really good right now with Kalani and Sol Ruka. She's one of my favorites. She's crushing it with her cool freaking move, her upside down RKO, wild. And a huge fan of their signing of Ethan Page. I've loved him in in AEW. Loved him when he was at the North in TNA. He is absolutely crushing it right now. I think he's making those people at AEW look like, you should have done more with me because now I'm here and I'm doing it on an even bigger stage. But I mentioned AEW. So guys, All In is coming up in about 10 days. My question for you guys, is this the final match for Bryan Danielson?
I think so. And only because I saw that he has to have neck surgery again.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how many more matches he has in him. I I could also see a scenario where he does win this one and then either retires and vacates the title. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to handle it, but I know he's only got a couple more matches in him.
I'm conflicted because I'm a big Bryan Danielson guy. prior to the Yes Movement, like when he came in right around the Nexus time, like him coming in as Mrs. Protege, Daniel Bryan type. I think he's gonna win the title, and then I think his swan song to the proverbial go out on his back is gonna be when they're up in Washington. I think they're doing a pay-per-view in Tacoma in the fall. Both him and Swerve are both from Washington, so they're both gonna get a huge pop up there. I could see something like Danielson winning the title, maybe Swerve losing the rematch on a Dynamite in a week or two, or maybe run it back at All Out. And then you could see Swerve have to kind of get back in line, and he's got 2 or 3 months to build up to that pay-per-view in Seattle, in the Tacoma, Washington area, where he could potentially unseed Danielson, put Danielson out the pasture, and then regain his title and continue on. It would be a nice ride off to the sunset, but I'd also be very intrigued if Danielson is still able to wrestle on a week-to-week basis. He wins the title and he does something like, I'm going to wrestle every week until someone can beat me. And when someone beats me, I'm taking the boots off and I'm leaving them in the ring. A la Ric Flair, a la Shawn Michaels, I think, did that. So yeah, I would be very interested if they run something like that, an angle like that, just to get Bryan Danielson that one victory, that one title he has never had his hands on at AEW.
It's true. That's true. We shall see. It'll be an exciting event for them. A lot of different matches on that card. You got Mercedes Moné with Britt Baker. I'm excited to see how that's going to fall out. I feel like that's only the beginning of that, so we shall see. You have the Young Bucks with the Acclaimed. I think they have, hold on, I have it, Will Ospreay and MJF for the American Championship. You got Darby Allin and Jack Perry. I'm also intrigued about the Tony Storm and Mariah May match, because that one, the storyline they told with that is probably one of my favorites, from the protege, and she just completely eliminates her and bloodies her. So we shall see with that one. But guys, I remember I sent you guys a text. We got some time. Bold booking. Give me 1 or 2 bold claims that you believe is going to happen in the wrestling world in the next 6 months to a year. Whichever one of you guys would like to start.
Joe, I'll let you take it.
Okay. We all know that a certain someone's retirement tour is happening in 2025. John Cena is at 16 titles, I believe the number is right now.
16.
Hear me out on this one. Ready?
I'm ready.
Randy Orton's at 15. I don't think he's going to beat.
Is he 15 or 14?
I think he's at 15. I think he's one behind.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to beat Gunther in Germany. But I think Randy Orton defeats Cody Rhodes at some point between now and the Royal Rumble and becomes the WWE Heavyweight Champion. I think Cena wins the Rumble, and you have Randy Orton, John Cena for the title at Mania. If John Cena wins, he breaks the record and becomes the record holder. Randy Orton is right there. He wouldn't be able to break the record, but he could prevent John Cena from breaking the record. With the exception of Edge, who now goes by Adam Copeland and is on a hospital bed somewhere in Canada right now. Wish him well. Besides Edge, I think John Cena's biggest rival is Randy Orton.
Of course, yes.
Of the old school mind, I'd love to see the two old guys go at it one more time for a title. So that's my bold booking. Has nothing to do with bloodline, has nothing to do with, anything else that's going on with the current product. I'd love to see some sort of RKO John Cena for the strap one more time at Mania.
I love that. That is incredible. I actually just double checked. Orton currently has 14 right now.
Okay.
Yes, right now.
Cena's at 16?
Yeah, Cena's at 16, Randy at 14, followed by you have Roman has, oh, this is only for active people. But yeah, those are the top two right now
Yeah.
with you have, oh wait, actually, here we go. We just found this.
So Cena is tied with Flair,
Yeah, Cena,
Mhm.
yeah,
16.
Cena and Flair 16, Triple H and Randy Orton 14. So maybe I double down on your booking as maybe there's a scenario Randy Orton does what he does to past Triple H, his evolution mentoree, followed by Hogan with 12, Edge 11, Rock and The Rock, and Sting and Vern Gagne with 10 wins.
Okay.
10 titles each. I love that booking. Leland, what do you got?
So mine is a little bit on the fantasy booking side of things, but
Okay.
something that I would really like to see. And I don't think this guy gets enough credit for as good as he is, and that's The Miz. I
Mm,
would love to see The Miz get one more world title run in his career. I think The Miz is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's one of the best heels ever. I would really like to see them put the belt on him one more time. I don't think it'll be the WWE Heavyweight Championship. I think it'll be the belt that Gunther holds right now.
mm,
But I would absolutely love to see The Miz get one more run because he deserves it. He absolutely does.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I love the Miz, man.
Yeah, I mean he's really like a true workhorse of all
Mm,
workhorses. Like he does his job. If you needed him to hate him, you hate him. If you need him to be a face, he does face. And he's been incredible, and I like that. And I'd like him to have a real reign, not the one where he got it, then like
Right.
lost to Lashley within like 3 seconds, and like
right.
his reign was like 5 days.
No transitional champs. Let him hold on
Yeah.
to it for a couple
Let him
months.
hold on to it.
Yep.
Kevin, what's your booking?
So I have two type of predictions. So my first one, I don't know how true if it could ever be because I heard some rumors on the internet with some things that with this person, we talked about SummerSlam. One of the matches we had was Logan Paul versus LA Knight. And I just think watching him wrestle, I think I'm convinced that the WWE will give him the strap once.
Yeah.
I just think just based off of his wrestling ability, I think he's gonna have it once, some way, somehow it could be a fluke way, and then there's gonna be somebody chase after him. Um,
I'll tell you what, it also helps when you have 7 million unique subscribers to your podcast on a weekly basis.
yes.
Every kid under the age of 15 has a Prime bottle in his backpack right now.
Speaking of Prime,
Those that helps. That definitely
Yeah.
helps. I'll tell you that. But
yeah.
like that moonsault, that
Oh my God,
springboard
Yeah.
180 moonsault is something I haven't seen since Juventud Guerrero in
Right.
WC.
yeah, out of this world. And I heard that like when he was practicing, like he like almost hurt himself doing it, and he almost hurt himself that night doing that move. So that was one of my bold claims. But in my second one, I have within the next 6 months, I think we're gonna have a former AEW world champion return to WWE. I don't know who, but in my mind, I just feel someone in that line who has held that title is gonna come back to
There's only
to
been
come back to WWE.
there's only been so many, so I don't know who you're thinking about.
I know.
You had
I just
Jericho. You
feel,
talking Jericho?
you can think of maybe he's finally tired and he goes into, induction to the Hall of Fame. He's had a hell of a career.
Because
Um,
the lineage of the AEW title is Jericho,
mhm,
Hangman,
Hangman.
then it goes Omega as the
Okay.
belt collector. Is that right? Or was it Moxley first?
It was Moxley first, then Omega.
Yeah.
Moxley,
Moxley,
Omega,
Omega,
MJF,
Punk. Oh,
Punk.
MJF, Punk.
Hmm.
I think Moxley had it again. He was the one that took it off Punk.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
MJF,
Yep. And then
Samoa Joe,
Samoa
Samoa
Joe.
Joe.
and
Yeah,
then
I'd love to see
Swerve.
Bring
Swear.
Samoa Joe back in too. Fuck.
Yeah.
See, that's the,
Sorry.
that's the, and then
Listen.
think about Samoa Joe older,
I'd also love to see. So there's a bunch of rumors going on. There's a an NXT pay-per-view in October that's coinciding with a bunch of AEW contracts that are expiring.
Mm.
So apparently, the rumor I'm hearing, if you're good with spoilers, I'm going to continue, guys. But I'm hearing the Lucha Brothers,
Hmm.
I was gonna get
Daniel Garcia,
oh
and Ricky Starks are all already signed, sealed, and delivered to NXT.
wow.
And
I
they're
knew
going
about
to
the
be
first
on
two.
CW11 starting in the fall, too, and be a real true third brand.
Wow, that would be incredible.
Yeah,
That would be
the Lucha Brothers are a done deal for sure. I think Ricky Starks is too with his relationship with Cody. I've seen back and forth on Garcia. I think he fits in well in NXT. I think he'd be great there. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by any of that, Joe.
yeah. Those are great. I
And then
love that. I
I
I
have
mean,
one more. I
go
got
ahead.
one more quick booking idea, Kev, if you're okay with it.
Yes, do it. Give it.
It's bloodline related, okay?
Oh, please. You already know I love bloodline related stuff. Let's get it.
Obviously, we're gonna build some way, some form to war games, okay?
Hmm.
You're looking at Solo Sokoa, Jacob Fatu,
Mm,
the Tongans. That's 4.
that's 4.
Also, currently signed to WWE, but not on television yet, is Hikaleo, who is Tama Tonga and Tonga Lower's younger brother, who's almost 7 foot tall.
Who is all in which they also have a trademark for a name called Tala Tonga, which
Yep.
translates to tall Tongan.
Yep. So I could see him being the 5th for the new bloodline.
Okay.
And then you have on the OG bloodline, the OTC bloodline per se, Roman,
Yep.
Jimmy, and Jay. I
Love it.
mean, I would pop so hard if Sammy
Yeah.
is their 4th.
Me too.
And then there's who's going to be the 5th for the original bloodline. So here's my booking for this. They don't have a 5th come out. Maybe Heyman gets in the cage with them, and that's the only option they have. And Heyman makes a phone call, and the 5th person that comes out for the original bloodline at War Games is The Rock.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
I felt this.
he turns and goes to Solo's side, setting up Rock Roman at Mania.
Oh,
Something like that is coming for
Like,
sure.
give
That
me
is-
that. Give
Yeah.
me
that is, and you know what's funny? So shout out to my boy Joss who runs the
12 truck.
the 12 truck. He literally mentioned he sees that there is somebody that Solo's bloodline is taking orders from, and that there's a point where they're gonna find out that that person is The Rock, and he's mentioned that to me too. I would think that would be absolutely incredible booking for this upcoming WrestleMania because we all know it's coming. We all know that
Yeah.
that head is at its course. We're just trying to find the best way to lead it there. I don't know what the Rock's schedule is looking like right now because I don't. Do we get him versus Do we get him versus Cody first, or do we get The Rock versus Roman first? Because I mean, it's gonna be an explosion when that collision collides. It's gonna be crazy.
They're also, again, I'm not going too deep into the woods here, but shout out to Cheap Heat Podcast. Shout out to the Ringer Wrestling Podcast, some of my frequent listens during the week. They're in Vegas for Mania. Who lives in Vegas currently?
Lives in Vegas currently. As in
I'll give you a hint. He's got 2 middle fingers.
Oh yes, Sir Steve of Austin.
Give me an Austin match. Give me another Austin match.
Yeah. I would love that.
That's funny you mentioned because I did hear about the talk of say maybe they ended Seth and Punk early, or they did somewhere else, give them
Punk
Punk
Austin.
versus Austin, something that the people have been clamoring for years and years and years. The sober versus the alcoholic. Like, I mean, it's just, the best of both worlds. And, the Punk is in a better place in his head. Stone Cold is, his health is continuously to be great. I can see them colliding some way, some point at some sort of random appearance, and then they just go at it at Mania. Give them a quick 10 minutes to bullshit around the arena, fight, bash here, punch. Austin takes a backdrop somewhere that doesn't hurt too bad. Punk hits him with a GTS, kicks out, stunner, boom.
Give me, listen, I know give me Austin Cena, give me Austin Rock.
I know.
Like, or you know what? Let's get crazy. Give me CM Punk Cena.
Yeah.
And give me Austin Rock. Let's take it back a decade.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
CM Punk, Cena, Austin Rock. Can you talk about the ratings that would give?
And then you could run Roman Cody 3. And then that's it. Somebody get Triple H on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was great. I love that. Incredible, guys. Well, that is all I had for today. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add. I think for me, if there's one last thing that I think for booking wise or for the future, which I know we talked about you have Raw, you have SmackDown, you're turning NXT into a third brand. I think it would be very interesting if, we're talking about with relationship with TNA and WWE. I don't know if I want them to snatch it, but I would love to see if WWE somehow maybe acquires their catalog. And then you can do all those crazy documentaries on like AJ, and then you can stream that somewhere. Because TNA has their like membership, they're on their own. I feel like you can get more if they pair it up with the WWE. You could throw that on the Peacock, or maybe if they want to add an additional pricing for it. But I love that. I want that to continue. I would love them to continue that outside source with NXT and those other brands to just continue to just keep in the wrestling circle alive.
And shout out to Triple H and his team for allowing all these WWE wrestlers to go to different promotions like Bloodsport too.
Yes.
Like seeing Shayna Baszler get in an MMA style wrestling match in Bloodsport is A plus, chef's kiss. You had who was it? The Creeds both had matches too.
Yep.
I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Just continue to build those relationships, and it just makes the product so much better. Like, we're literally living in the age of the era. It's I really truly believe it's another golden era of wrestling that we're in right now. And I'm honestly here to sit back and relax and enjoy.
Absolutely.
Love that. All right. Well, guys, that's the end of the podcast right there. I'm going to outro us out. So for those of you that are watching this, make sure you give us a like and a subscribe on our YouTube page at the Manly Musings Podcast. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to us and listen to us on all streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Play. Make sure you go ahead and follow the Instagram. You can follow Merritt's at Merritt_P. You can follow me at CakeFavor624. The podcast, Instagram, and TikTok at the Manly Musings Pod. Shout out to Joe and Leland out here for joining us. Shout out to Joe. Make sure you listen to his podcast, the Bow Down Podcast, for all of your things, the Washington Huskies. And guys, take care, spike your hair, and good nights.